One man went hiking alone and didn't tell a single person where. 5 days later, he was still in that canyon, trapped, and out of options. To get out, he would have to do the unthinkable. This is the true story of Aron Ralston. First, you need to picture the place. A slot canyon is a crack in the desert, two towering rock walls almost touching, with only a thin ribbon of sky far above. It is beautiful, narrow, and very, very easy to get stuck in. Aron Ralston was 27, fit, and a skilled outdoorsman. On Saturday, the 26th of April, 2003, he drove out to Blue John Canyon in Utah to spend the day alone. He was good at this, and being good at it made him careless. Here's the mistake that nearly killed him. He told no one where he was going. No note, no message, no plan left behind. Remember that. If nobody knows where you are, then nobody knows where to look. No itinerary means no rescue. Deep in the canyon, he climbed down past a wedged boulder. It shifted. In an instant, an 800-pound rock slid down the wall and crushed his right hand against the stone, pinning him there completely. He pulled and pulled. He was stuck fast. And this is where his mistake came due. He was alone, jammed against a wall, in a canyon nobody knew he had entered. He couldn't move the rock. He couldn't slip his arm free. There was no one to hear him shout. The clock started ticking. He had only a little water and some snacks. He rationed every sip, but the days dragged on. 1 day, 2, 3. The desert sun crossed the slot above him and vanished, again and again, while his bottle slowly emptied. By the 5th day, the bottle was empty. So, to keep going, he did what desperate people do to survive. He drank his own urine. His body was shutting down, and he knew it. The nights were freezing. Shivering and certain he was going to die there, he took his tools and scratched his own epitaph into the sandstone. His name, the year he was born, and the year he believed he would die. 2003. Then, half dreaming, he had a vision. He saw himself in the future, lifting up a small child, with only part of his right arm. He didn't have a son. Not yet. But that picture of a life still ahead of him gave him something to fight for. He had already tried sawing at his arm, but the knife was too dull to even cut the hair. Then it hit him. The reason he couldn't cut through was the bone. But if he used his trapped arm as a lever and threw his whole body against it, he could snap those two bones himself. So he braced, and he threw his body weight away from the wall, using the rock as leverage. The first bone snapped. He shifted his grip and did it again. The second bone gave way. The hardest barrier was gone. Now came the worst part. He tied a tourniquet above the break to slow the bleeding. Then, with a cheap, dull multitool, not even a real Leatherman, he cut through the rest of his lower arm. The blade was blunt, so he used the little pliers for the tougher parts. It took about an hour. And then he was free. We checked this against his own memoir and multiple reports. In his book, he describes how useless that knife was. Quote, "I applied the knife to my arm and started sawing. But I didn't even break the skin. The knife was so dull. That is why he had to break the bone first." But freedom was only the start. He was still deep in a canyon, bleeding badly. To get out, he had to rappel down a sheer 65-foot wall, roughly 20 meters, using just one arm. Somehow he did it. Then, with one arm and pouring blood, he started to walk out. Not a few steps. 7 miles through the heat until he finally saw other people, a family on holiday from the Netherlands, who gave him water and ran for help. His family had finally reported him missing, and searchers had narrowed the area down. A rescue helicopter spotted him and lifted him out, about 4 hours after he cut himself loose. Against every odd, Aron Ralston was alive. All of it, the thirst, the cold, the vision, the bones, the cut, happened across one unbroken stretch of about 127 hours. Roughly 5 days, pinned to a rock, with no one in the world knowing he was there. Aron survived, became a father, and now tells his story to the world. But you don't have to learn his lesson the hard way. Before you head anywhere alone, tell one person where you're going and when you'll be back. It is free, and one day it might be everything. If that gripped you, subscribe. There is a new hand-drawn, fact-check story like this every couple of days. I'm really glad you're here.